Okay, hello. Now, this is a face you may have seen in a recent video talking about Self-Love Club with children. Morwenna has very kindly decided to jump back on with me today and talk about what it's like to live with Lucy for a week.
Cool.
I decided to call it Living with Lucy because, although we're going to obviously talk about my retreats today, I think it's really important that people know that life changes when they live with Lucy, whether it be for a few days or whether it be for a week or whether it be for longer.
Oh, yeah.
So, just, to give another introduction, Morwenna is an incredible lady. She works in corporate for now, in human resources. She has a mum of one. She is absolutely amazing. She's somebody who is obviously involved with Self-Love Club with children. She's an incredible lady, extremely mindful around plants and, beautiful things like that. So we resonate very deeply with each other. I look at her as a soul sister, and I want to take us back on a journey a little bit today, because Morwenna and I met back in 2018, or you saw me in 2018.
Yeah, the red dress. That's when I first saw you.
The infamous red dress. So
Yeah.
I was extremely, lucky. I was asked to speak at a really beautiful conference where Morwenna was attending. And I'm just going to hand over to you, actually, babe, because you've probably got a better description than me.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were involved with the same company, but not working together. I didn't know who Lucy was at the time. And she walked out onto this stage and I thought, who is this chick? She's got this amazing figure. She's in this bright red dress. I was like, wow. And I don't really remember what you said. I was just sort of, I kind of just sat there in awe, really, and I was like, oh my god, I need to know this person. I'm literally, from that point onwards, I've stalked you, and I'm not a good stalker like Maxine. Like, I don't remember anything. I just remember needing to position myself so I could either work with you or speak to you or do something. And I did that really over the last couple of years, and here we are now. But yeah, it was that initial on stage when you walked out and I was like, this woman knows what she's talking about. I don't know what it was, obviously your energy. And yeah, from that point onwards, I was stalking you. I was getting on all your lives. I was in your groups. I was commenting on things. I was like, look at me, notice me, I want to be your friend. Yeah, and it just went on from that.
So this down the line, hey. But what
Yeah.
I think is really interesting about that, and I think I really feel in my cells right now, what is coming online for people is exactly what you had back in 2018, and it was April 2018. It's almost our anniversary, babe.
It is.
Yeah. What I feel is really coming online for people right now is it's the energy. We tap into each other's energy field, and we get excited by it, and we find somebody who we resonate with, and we're like, we don't know why we like this human, but we like this human.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people would see a chick come out in a short little red dress and be like, oh, I don't like her. Like, she could have worn a longer dress, and I've had many insights into what was underneath that dress since then.
Oh, wasn't there? Yeah.
But obviously at that time, you were just like, her energy is what I need to be around.
Yeah.
Something else that I love that you said is basically proximity is power.
Yeah.
Long story short, you knew you needed to be around me and my energy. You knew that I had something that you needed to have in your life. Absolutely. And, proximity is power. And I want everybody to know out there, if you want to be close, get in my Self-Love Club with Lucy Davis Telegram group. Literally just search it, all one word, on Telegram. Hunt me out on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because
do what I did.
Well, why don't we do some tips of how to be a stalker? Maybe we should rename this How to Stalk Lucy.
Brilliant.
Lucy's in a circle. So obviously that's how it started. Like, from my perspective, I remember walking out on that stage and it was electric. I had this download just before I walked out on stage, like, you're going to fall over. And I was like, no, I'm not. And it was really interesting because I was channeling a lot of my granddad at that period of time. My granddad was a huge inspiration in my career change. And, he was channeling through me that day. And I'll be honest with you, Morwenna, I have no clue what I spoke through. Literally, I have no idea. I had these cue cards in my hand and I was like, don't need them, because I just wasn't even paying any attention, which was just fascinating. But obviously, whatever I said, Who knows? And I have actually watched a little bit of it back actually, and it was very, very interesting to watch.
See, I've never watched it back, and I can't remember what you were saying at all. Yeah, completely zoned out.
The thing that I do remember was when I walked out on stage and the host picked me up and spun me round, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, no. And normally I would let my legs like fling out, but I was like holding my legs. Do not want to go there. Do not want to go there.
Not why you need to be remembered.
That could have been a whole nother memory, couldn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
So here we were at a conference all around health and healing and wellness and business, and how we could create business around that in April 2018 in Birmingham. I rock out on stage, I stumble into your life, and since then, babe, like you say, you've been in my Self-Love Club with Lucy Davis group on FaceAche, which obviously is now gone because I'm banned. And over the years, we've become friends. You know,
absolutely.
We've become friends.
Yeah, I remember when I first met you in person. It was it Bournemouth? Bournemouth. Brighton, and you did an iridology session with me in a cafe. I was just sat there like, oh my God, you're real. It was ridiculous. I was almost starstruck. It was bizarre, but because I've been following you for so long and I got what you were saying and I understood what you were about, and everything you said, I was like, oh my God, I needed that message today, or that needed to happen because of this, and it just all sort of came together. And then had the iridology session, which then made it even stronger, and I was like, okay, now I really do need to like up my shit. And that's what you've made me do.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful that your intuition, your soul knew that she needed to be around me. And it will all make sense one day. We'll know exactly what the connection is, as you know that will come through. But right now, you obviously made that decision back then, and you were like, do you know what, I'm going to surrender to this. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Put yourself in proximity. Then obviously we met, and I think that was maybe, I don't know, was that late in 2018 or was it 2019? I can't remember.
I think it was 2000 I can't remember. It would have been 18, wouldn't it? It was like the next conference from Birmingham.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like it was the latter end of 2000.
This is where we need Maxine.
We need stories. But then what happened off the back of that is obviously you started getting involved with Self-Love Club. And you were in my group on Facebook, and obviously I announced my Glastonbury retreat. Now, where are you based, Morwenna?
I'm in Plymouth.
So not that far away from where I
was like, oh, that's close. I was expecting to be in bloody Scotland or somewhere, and I was like, oh, actually Glastonbury, that's doable, because I'm terrified of travelling on my own anyway. But when I heard it was Glastonbury, I was like, number one, I've never been to Glastonbury and I've always wanted to go, which I was like, tick. And number two, it was literally up the road a couple of hours. Worst case scenario, I was going to get someone to drive me there and pick me back up again if I couldn't figure it out myself. I was excited when I heard it was Glastonbury. But I remember speaking to, I think it was Donna that phoned me, and I was like, I think I was messaging you as well. I was like, I don't know why I need to be there. Obviously, it sounds fun, but on a sort of energetic level, I didn't really understand why I needed to be there. I just needed to be there. I didn't have the money to pay for it. I didn't have the childcare. I didn't have transport or a way to get there, but I kind of booked the ticket anyway because I'm quite impulsive, and if I get that gut feeling, I tend to go with it, and especially after having you in my ear for like years before that, I was like, yeah, this means something. I need to be there. I need to go. I need to figure it out. I'll get the ticket. I'll start saving. I'll figure it out. And that's what I did.
and this is why we decided to jump on today, right, and do this, because actually your intuition was spot on
point.
Point, right? So just to give you a little bit of background, I run retreats. Normally I run retreats at least once a year. Unfortunately 2020 was cancelled because it was due to be in Thailand. We scheduled it to April 2021. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel that because clearly we don't know what's going on. I am aiming to set something up in the UK through 2021 as long as I can find the space. Now, hopefully it'll be in Glastonbury, but I don't know. As if I can find anywhere that is prepared to take us, I will do a retreat in the UK during 2021. Now, the reason I asked Morwenna specifically to jump on and do this session with me is I did an intervention. I think that's the best way of describing it. I did an intervention at Self Love Club retreat in Glastonbury. Now, I'm going to give my remembrance first. So actually, let's give a little bit about what Self Love Club retreat is about, because a lot of people will probably think, oh yeah, pampering, looking after ourselves. Well, do you want to say what Self Love Club retreat is about?
It's so, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing, and like the place was amazing, the energy was amazing there, the people that were there were incredible people, the group that you brought together were just awesome, but it is not kumbaya and holding hands and pamper sessions, and it's snot and bogies and tears, and it's really hard, like really hard. You have to be so honest with yourself, and how Lucy takes you through things means that you have no option but to, well, you level up and you deal with it, and it all just comes out. And that's definitely what happened through the whole couple of days that we were there. Happened with me, definitely. I went there thinking I'm going to sort my dad issues out and I'm going to do this and it's going to be lovely and it's going to be amazing, and I don't actually think it was my dad issues that were my issue anyway. Based on what happened towards the end. And so you go in with I literally turned up and I didn't know what to expect. I knew it wasn't going to be all sort of fairy dust and niceness, but I didn't think it was going to go as deep as it did. But I'm glad it did.
Yeah. And in Glastonbury, we did 4 days, didn't we? So we did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
And it was, for me personally, it was a good amount of time, because it meant that people like yourself could come. An extended weekend you can kind of get away with when you've got children. So it was extremely intense. My retreats, when I do them outside of the UK, are 7 or 8 days, so it's kind of like double the time, and obviously we can stretch it out over that. And we, you know, admittedly I do push people a lot more in certain areas when I'm out of the country. However, like, you know, we almost had to do a hard fast session with you girls, and it was unbelievable, honestly. Looking back now, you know, there was a couple of people, like on day 1 or 2, I was like, no, I'm not going to be able to crack this person, and then literally boom, it just happened. So let's talk about what happened with you and why I needed to do an intervention. So let me just explain to people. I have designed a 7-step process based on my own healing journey that I share through Self Love Club Hangs, Self Love Club Retreats, Self Love Club membership. That is essentially everything that I show people how to do. And it very much, if you can get all of that in check, your ascension is unbelievable. Your awareness, your ego, you name it, you get on top of all of it. However, in the retreat, basically what I do is I take you through that 7-step process, but we go deep. Like, we go deep into your cells, we go deep, and we look to lift things out. So when I'm talking about an intervention, what I mean by that is, if somebody is having something come up for them, maybe they're extremely emotional, maybe they're having a reaction in one way, shape or form, maybe they are being triggered by something, that is my job at that point, to go deep with that person in front of the room, so that everybody gets the healing. And this is the gold that takes place. It's absolute gold. So I'm going to give my perspective on how this started, but then I'm going to hand over to you and you can give it from your perspective. So I am on the last day.
Yes, it was the last day.
Self Love Club retreat. So it's Monday.
Yeah.
On Monday, we're, you know, like reworking our blueprint. We're doing that kind of stuff. Morwenna came to me and her skin was red raw. And she said to me, Lucy, have you got any tips for me to kind of get this under control? Like, it's painful. It was sore at that point, babe.
Yeah, I couldn't touch it. It was like weeping, and I've never experienced that before in my life. Like, I've had issues with my skin before, but nothing like that.
Yeah, and I just want to, so from what it looked like is almost like Morwenna had fallen over and been grazed from an outsider looking in. So I don't know how painful that must have been.
It felt like a burn. It felt like someone had scolded me all over my face and my neck.
Yeah, and it looked like a graze. So exactly the same principle, right? Basically, the top layer had been taken from you. It was red, it was raw, it was weepy, and Morwenna came to me and said, you know, can you recommend anything for me to eat or anything to put on my skin? And I'm like, Yeah, I can, but I think we need to do the emotional trauma on this, Morwenna. Like, I think it's time that we actually like figure out where this is coming from. And Morwenna kind of like looked at me, gulped a little bit, and in front of a room, you know, so we were in front of a room full of people. I'm not sure if everybody was there because we were in the kitchen area at that point.
Yeah, we all sat around the table.
Yeah, okay, right. So everybody was there, but they were sat around the table. And basically, I started to unpick the situation that had been bubbling for a few days, hadn't it? I think you, was it right? You said your skin was sore a couple of days earlier or the day earlier or something like that?
Yeah, as soon as I arrived, well, as I was driving up to you, it started and then it got progressively worse. And by the 4th day, I was like, oh my God, this is horrendous, because I've never experienced it. Like, I've had patches of eczema come up and I've had like scabby bits on my face, and that I've never had good skin, but I've never experienced anything like that. And you know, like when you go away with the girls, you think, oh, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to look so pretty in this outfit, and then you get there and you got this massive zit come up on your face. Yeah. And then at first I was just like, oh, for Christ's sake, meeting a whole load of brand new people and I've got this thing on my face. And then it just gradually came up my neck and just worked its way right up, and by the time I left, it was under my eyes. And I've had that a few more times since, but only under my eyes. Wow. But now I know what to do with it.
Yeah, so the reason I'm smiling at you is I can see a massive angel stood behind you. Oh. So I'm like smiling and you're talking about pain. So I just wanted to let you know that I can see that, because I don't want you to think you're weird, Lucy. I don't do that anyway.
You don't weird me out anymore, ever.
Live with me, and I think that's the interesting thing about this. Literally, when people come on a retreat with me, they live with me. They are literally living the life that I live on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So, like we said, Morwenna had this from the start. She'd had it from the get-go, but she didn't talk to me about it because she knew. Her soul knew she wasn't quite ready for it. However, on the last day, her soul and her physical vessel had been like, we're going to make you talk to Lucy about this, no matter what. You can't hide from this. And that's essentially what happened. You came to me and you were emotional about it, babe, because and frustrated about it because it was painful, first and foremost.
Yeah.
You hadn't quite connected the dots at that point that actually this was emotional trauma that was coming to the surface for us to heal.
Yeah. Yes.
At that point.
Yes.
We started doing a little bit of work. So just so that people know, if you've never seen the way that I work at Self Love Club Hangs or anything like that before, I ask amazing questions. That's what I do. I ask questions of people so that I can understand, I get an inner knowledge, and I get my inner guidance, and I get my guides to guide me. Basically, I ask amazing questions so that I can very quickly pinpoint where this emotional trauma is coming from in whoever I'm talking to. Now, I can do this with kids, I can do it with adults, I can do it with the elderly, I can do it with a total stranger walking down the street. You name it, I can ask these questions. And it's not a set load of questions, so I can't just be like, ask these questions and you'll get the answer. I intuitively know, I trust, I surrender, right, the questions are going to come through to me that I need to be specific with Morwenna about. And that's what happened. Within a couple of questions, we've got to the root cause of where the emotional trauma was, and you were getting quite emotional about it, babe, weren't you?
Yeah.
It was a very, very, very charged subject, and you know, you'd been holding on to this frustration for such a period of time that all of a sudden you almost were given permission to release it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you guys, I have no clue what questions I asked Morwenna. Like, maybe someone in the room can. Maxine wasn't there to stalk me, so I don't know.
No, I don't remember either.
No, and you know what, babe? We're not supposed to remember. If we were supposed to remember, we would. We're not supposed to remember because otherwise we try and use it all the time with people. And actually, that's not what we're here to do.
And I think it was the catalyst that enabled me to figure out what the hell was going on. So that wasn't necessarily, like, the questions were amazing, but it wasn't the important part. It was the outcome that was.
Absolutely. And I think what you've just said there is really incredibly important. People focus on the how. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. How will figure itself out. It's identification of what is going on, and that's all I'm here to do. I'm here to help you guys identify what it is that's going on so that you then can step up and do the work. So Morwenna, everyone was blown away by what happened. If you remember rightly, I think there was a lot of tears in the room, there was a lot of emotion, people were very overwhelmed because from my perspective, within about, I don't know, maybe 20 to 30 minutes of us doing this intervention, your skin started healing.
Yes, it did. It was, I don't even think it was that long. I think it was as we were talking, because I'm sure it was Beverly who was stood to the side of me, and she was like, your neck's going white, whereas my neck was bright red before, and little white patches started appearing in my neck. And it was like my skin was actually, well, it was healing on the spot as we were talking and afterwards. And yeah, it was pretty phenomenal, really.
It makes me get emotional. Like,
yeah, I know. I'm sitting there with like little watery eyes, and I feel like I've got the shakes. It was yeah. I've never experienced anything like that in my entire life, and I've never experienced anything since either like that. It was a one-off, pretty special thing that happened, I think. And you know what? It didn't stop there either. When I left, I didn't want to leave, because I was saying that to you. I don't want to go home. I just want to stay here. Can I just stay here? And I didn't want to go home because I knew what what you'd had uncovered in me, I had to go home and deal with. And after 4 days of living with Lucy and then having that to deal with when I got home, I actually cried for 3 hours on my way home. It was a 3-hour drive. I cried the whole way. And I went to my mum's. I didn't go home. And I stayed at my mum's for 2 hours crying. And she was like, what has happened to you? Are you okay? Because I walked in, my face is like red up to my eyes with like these little white patches now. So it was clearing. And I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't really talk about what had happened because I didn't really know what had happened. I did, but I was just like, I don't know. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, no. Yes, I am. I'm better than I was when I went, but I don't look it because I look like a bloody mess. But that's the whole thing about the retreat, isn't it? That's what it does. It brings up all the rawness and the feeling and the emotion and the trauma that you've been holding on to. And yeah, without that intervention, I'd still be in the same situation. And going on from that, it's allowed me to remove the emotion from the situation a lot easier. So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I can deal with that. It's fine. And I can see things without all the emotion and the anger and all that kind of stuff, which I think contributed to obviously my skin erupting the way it did.
Of course.
Because I was just ingesting it. It wasn't going out and it wasn't coming anywhere, and I wasn't speaking and I wasn't sharing it, and I definitely wasn't saying it to the right person. And it was just, yeah. But now I call him out on it. So yeah.
That's so good. And do you know what you just said there, which I think is really, really interesting, and it's something that I just want to sweep back to. On the way there, you were like, oh my God, this is the worst thing. I'm going to meet people. They're going to judge me because I've got this skin thing coming up.
Yeah.
But then what happened was the biggest gold came out of that trauma.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think, I talk about gratitude and appreciation a lot. People are like, yeah, Lucy, we've got it. But they don't get it's at moments like that when the skin is erupting and it's sore and it's painful that actually that's when you're like, okay, right, you've got my attention. Now it's time to heal. Now it's time to up level.
Yeah. And it was like the biggest light bulb. I mean, I had light bulb moments going off all over the place those 4 days, but this was like the big bang at the end. And yeah, it was incredible. And I had been burying stuff. Like if I just owned it and said, this has upset me, what you've just done isn't right, or, I mean, the basic, I suppose, I was in a narcissistic relationship and I had no idea. And obviously I wasn't the narcissist. I probably have been at some point, and that's why it's now mine. So it made me think about past relationships that I'd been in as well. So it wasn't just going forward, it was looking way back as well. So I left the retreat and I had a lot of work to do, and I've been doing it ever since. And I have apologized to people, I've written letters to people, I've I've not necessarily sent them because I don't want that kind of contact with those people, but I've got it out and I've spoken openly and honestly to people. And now I can be very honest with my narcissistic partner. When he is being narcissistic or when he does something, I call him out on it. I call him the narcissist when he's doing it. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he stops and he readjusts himself. And it's, it's been quite eye-opening. And also it's allowed me to see it in other people's relationships. My friend went through a very, very similar situation. Well, hers was completely off the rails, narcissistic, and it was scary to watch. But I could see it exactly for what it was as soon as he walked into the room for the first time.
Wow.
And I saw him, and I said to her, just be careful, because there's something about him that I'm not quite sure about. And I left it at that, and I let her do. But she did what I did. She buried it. She hid it. She lied to me. And then she came over to my house and burst out crying and said, he's horrible. He's abusive.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know. But I didn't step in. I could have stepped in.
Yeah.
But I think if you had done that, that wouldn't have been beneficial for me.
No, absolutely. And I'll be honest with you. Let's just have a real honest one. Pray that you don't ever watch this.
You knew.
Yeah, I did. From the second we started talking about other things during the retreat, I knew instantly.
Yeah.
You know,
and I didn't, and it was so weird.
But this is why it's gold, Morwenna. This is why your story is absolute gold, because you are a highly intelligent, beautiful, articulate woman, and you had no freaking clue. No. So now think about, and I just got goosebumps all over me.
Yeah, I did.
You are a shining example to other people out there. How many other people out there do not realize that first and foremost, they're a control freak, they're a narcissist, but also that they're in a situation that is like that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody on the planet is like that or is in a relationship like that. However, we need to raise the consciousness on it so that we know that we're not going to tolerate it.
Yeah. And so you can see it. Yeah, it's not even about tolerating it. So you can actually physically see the signs and things and feel into it as well, which is what I do now. I've always been able to meet people. I think that's why I'm so good at my job, because I'm in HR, and people walk into the office and I'm like, they're going to be trouble. Or don't employ them in that role, that's not right for them, they're not going to be able to do it properly, or they're going to be amazing. And I've always been able to pick up on people's energy, I guess that's how you would describe it. And now I can do it really, really well. But I think it's because I worked through all this shit that I had, and I've realized that I was a narcissist. Now I've attracted a narcissist, and now I know how to deal with a narcissist.
And now it's your job to go and pay that forwards. This is something Alpa, Sonia and I actually spoke about it the other day on a video that I did with her. Like, once you've got your gold, you instantly share that forwards. I healed my womb from all of those issues that had taken place. Within weeks of me being back in the UK, I'd helped Claire, who who's the those of you that don't know Claire, she's the lady that had parasites. So this is what's very interesting. Literally within weeks, I'm passing it forwards, I'm helping somebody else, and then that it's what happens. This is what we're here to do. And when you pass it forwards, the gold comes to you. And I don't mean literal gold is going to fall out of the sky before anyone gets excited.
Unfortunately.
It will be literal gold in the future. It will be. And I really, really trust that. And, I just think it's wonderful. I'm so grateful to you for agreeing to come on. And, I wasn't going to bring up the partner or anything like that, but,
Oh, well, might as well. It's not good to hold things in, is it?
No, it's not. And I'm just really proud of you, because, you were very embarrassed when you came to me about your skin, and even though you'd been with me for 3 days and 3 nights, and we'd done some cool stuff, right? Like, we'd done some cool stuff in that time. Literally from the first night, we're out there having bonfires and stuff. Do you remember?
That was awesome.
Remember all of the smoke coming up in like dragons and stuff? Absolutely beautiful.
Some of the stuff that happened, like walking out and seeing a peacock walk across the door, and I was like, oh my god. So strange. Peacock just escorting us down the road, and I was like, okay.
But that's what happens when you live with Lucy. Donna actually shared on one of the videos, I think it's on YouTube, about when she was at a retreat with me previously, and I obviously kept feeling these metaphysical animals around my ankle.
I was watching, and that's why also I wanted to come on this retreat, because I was like, oh my god, I need some of that weird in my life. It's amazing.
And it does, doesn't it? Like, you just the synchronicities, like, obviously you listen to the synchronicities that said you have to be at that retreat. You've got some healing, babe, that very few people around the world get.
Yeah, I'll be forever grateful for it.
Well, I'm just grateful that
um
you came, because you then validated to everybody else that was there that it was possible.
yeah.
Like, everybody was blown away by that, right? Everybody was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
unbelievable.
yeah, because it was physical. I suppose for the first time you can get testimonials of people, but it's just flat, isn't it? It's just words. But when people are in a room with you and they can physically see something changing
Yeah.
based on a conversation or based on an intervention, yeah, that was next level. Next
And
level, Lucy.
welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. This is what we do. But this is why I do these self-love club hang sessions. This is why I do the retreats, purely to give you guys the living with Lucy experience.
Yeah.
Oh, admittedly, at Self Love Club Hangs, you don't live with me. It's a 2-hour evening session, but you do get to go through this. Like, we do interventions and stuff like that, and we do have huge breakthroughs at these sessions. So that's why I have to do it. That's why my guides have told me that I have to do this stuff. It's not for me, it's for you, because then you will go off and help other people do exactly the same, which is just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I truly believe, and I know that you know that I feel this way, Morwenna, but I truly believe that anybody can heal from anything.
Yes, I totally believe.
Given the right tools, I truly believe, and I just thank you for being the person that came into my life, unknowing that you were going to actually deliver such a huge message to the world of a physical healing in front of people.
Yeah.
Because that's huge.
Yeah, who knew? I didn't. I didn't when I set off in the car.
Your soul must have done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because she was like, no, we're following this one. We're going.
Absolutely. And that's the furthest I've ever driven. I know it sounds ridiculous. It's only 3 hours in the car, and for some people, it's like that's just normal. They do that on a daily basis, but I don't. I live in the southwest of England. Like, we're country bumpkins down here. Anything past Bristol's north.
Yeah.
And 3 hours in a car on a motorway terrified me.
Yeah. I
remember. And when we arrived, it was pitch black, and I'm driving down this country lane, which is fine, but I'm pitch black and I can't see anything. There's no signs, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm actually gonna get lost out here. I'm gonna have to sleep in the car.
Phone reception was rubbish as well, wasn't it?
There was no signal. My sat nav was like in and out the whole time. Oh my goodness.
I don't make it easy from the get-go.
No,
so,
definitely wasn't.
I would do from the get-go. But it was such a beautiful experience. Like, I loved it. I loved being around you guys. The connection that we had between us, and just so that you guys know, we don't just let everybody come to Self Love Club retreat. Donna essentially interviews you before you come, and then I basically tap into your energy, and it's all based on energy. It's all based on who's coming. There was a number of people that wanted to come to that retreat in Glastonbury, and I actually had to turn them away because their energies just would have clashed with other people. So this isn't just a case of come along. No, we're very, very careful with who we put together for a reason.
And it was like the balance there was perfect. It was, and some of the people, well, I'm still in touch with most of the people. They're in like your groups and around anyway, so I see them on a daily basis, and it's really, really nice to see what they've gone on and done. And like Claire with her art has just exploded, and it's just awesome.
And how amazing was the soup?
Oh my God, the soup was so good.
I'm really
food is life, and that food was incredible.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Like, I would never have had a pea soup before, and it was just freaking awesome.
Or mushroom soup.
Oh, I love mushroom.
And see, I've never had mushroom soup, and it looks grey, but you taste it, it's like dances around in your mouth, and I'm like, oh my God.
What have I been doing with my life?
Yeah, I eat mushrooms. I've never thought of putting them in a soup before, but yeah, the food was incredible there, and the staff there were really, really good, and the whole setting was just beautiful.
It was actually perfect.
It was, yeah.
It was actually divinely perfect, and I don't agree in perfection. I don't necessarily believe in it, but for myself, the experience was divinely perfect. It was exactly who we needed, and I'm going to reach out to them to see if they want to have us back, even though obviously it's only a small group. But I've been told, whether this is right or wrong, but apparently if we have a group of 15 or less, it can be classed as a therapy session. And I don't mean to be funny. Self-Love Club is therapy.
It's definitely therapy.
It's ripping your emotional trauma out and giving you the process to be able to get through the rest of your life without it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing I think I took away from it is the steps that you need to take, even if it's like the conversation at the end or the food or movement or whatever it is, they're so simple and they're stuff that we all know,
And we can
but
do
we've just forgotten. You are?
and they're all for free.
Yeah, and they're pretty much, yeah, everything that you need to up level and to sort your shit out and to get to that sort of level of calm and, you know, they're all free to do. And I had no, like, I knew a bit before I went to the retreat because obviously I've been following you for a long time and I've taken on board and I went meat free and, you know, I move more and I drink more water and all that kind of stuff. But it was just hearing it, and a lot of people don't realize how simple this stuff is just to implement.
Yeah.
You've just got to be consistent with it.
Yeah. And that's the key thing. Most people feel they need to go and spend a lot of money or buy a lot of stuff or whatever, but the reality is we have all of the answers inside of us, and that's all I do. I just help you guys remember. It is literally just an exercise of remembrance, and what happens is you will start your spiritual awakening. If you're already woke, you go off to the moon. Like literally, that's what happens. Your gifts come online, and you know, we just surrender. We have to surrender because everything is an illusion. Yeah. Everything we've ever experienced, everything that we've ever lived is an illusion, and it's just about unpicking all of that. Excuse me, hiccuping. Unpicking all of that and taking us back to basics.
Yeah, and it is. And if you can get to that basic level, then you've got everything you need.
Absolutely.
It's and go to a retreat if you can, because they're incredible. Life-changing. I said this as a joke when I turned up. I was like, oh, I'm not going to walk out of here the same person, am I? Absolutely didn't. I've never been the same.
You never. And it's a great thing to call in, right? Like, I don't know right now when the next Self-Love Club retreat is going to be. So I just want to manage people's expectations. Keep an eye on my website. The link will be below here. And as soon as I do have new dates, like if I can organize a retreat here in 2021 in the UK, I will do it. I assure you I will do it. I've literally had about, I don't know, more than 15 people reach out to me and say, please, can I be on the list for a retreat if you do one in the UK? But, you know, that's what you need to do, guys. Just jump on my mailing list. Keep an eye on my retreats page. It's a bit out of date at the moment. It's showing April 2021. Need to update that. But we are going to be, as soon as we can, we will be back on the road to doing these retreats. In the interim period of time, we have Self-Love Club Hangs that start on the 31st of March. They're literally a 2-hour evening session. The first one is all about like a reminder about loving yourself. The second one, I'm not going to give them in order because I'll forget. One of them is about healing inner child. One of them is about loving your shadow, and the other one is around recognizing sexual trauma in you, and obviously how that may be holding you back. Even if you've not experienced physical sexual trauma, it's extremely amazingly powerful for releasing a lot of the energy. So they're the 4 that I'm doing this year. All of the details are in Eventbrite. If you want to come along to any of those, I will put the details below. Morwenna, is there anything else you'd like to say on the retreat, babe, before?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered off everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, my love.
No problem.
It's been amazing. Honestly, yeah. I'm really getting all of my girls to level up at the moment. You're doing a video with me, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Come on, you're going to do a video with me." But it's great. So, Morwenna, what perhaps I'll do is I'll pop your Instagram or your Facebook below here so people can follow you if they wish to as well. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do remember to hit subscribe. There is some freaking awesome content coming out soon. Morwenna, stay there, babe, and I'll be back with you in a sec. Bye, guys. Have the most beautiful day. Take care.